Welcome back to the Efficacy Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today we are looking at something pretty profound. It's a presentation from Dr. Jeff Howard delivered at Harvard called The Transformation Imperative.
Mhm.
And this really isn't about just, tweaking a policy here or there. It's a challenge, a morally grounded one to the entire structure of American schooling.
It absolutely is. And if
Yeah.
you're in education leadership,
Yeah.
this is, well, it's a necessary but very uncomfortable look in the mirror.
Right.
Dr. Howard's whole argument is that we're facing a deep organizational failure. And the only way out is to accept a new level of moral responsibility for every single student.
So it's not about finding a better program.
No, it's about a complete reinvention.
Okay, so let's start there with the critique itself, because it's pretty stark.
This is.
Dr. Howard points out that for the last 45 years, right, since A Nation at Risk, we've spent billions. Billions. We've tried countless reforms.
And the result.
Very little movement, that's the quote. The needle just hasn't moved for the kids who need it most.
And that right there is the proof. It's the proof that small changes, incremental fixes, they're dead. That approach is over.
Fixing things around the edges.
Yeah, the flavor of the month solutions. If you do that for nearly 5 decades and nothing fundamentally changes, you have to conclude that the structure itself is the problem.
So what's required is...
A total transformation.
Mm.
These organizations, our schools, they were built for a different time. They're just not designed to get all kids to a high level of proficiency.
And that high level has a specific name, College and Career Readiness, CCR.
That's the target.
Yeah.
Efficacy's position is that serious people, serious educators, have to reinvent their organizations to get students there.
But people might say we've always had high standards, so what's different now? Why is this transformation so urgent?
Because the stakes are existential now. I mean, in today's economy, this kind of rigorous learning, it's everything.
It's not just a nice to have.
No, Dr. Howard calls it a 1 or a 0. Either a student gets to CCR, meaning they can actually pass a credit-bearing college course, or get a decent job.
Or they don't.
Or they don't. And if they don't, they are, quote, behind the 8 ball for life. This isn't an aspiration anymore. It's about survival.
Okay, so if the need is that urgent, you can't just wander into it. You need a map, a framework.
You need an operational plan. Exactly. And that's what Dr. Howard provides with the 3 M's.
Mission, mindset, and method.
That's it. The mission forces you to adopt a new mindset. And that new mindset totally changes your method.
And it's not theory.
Not at all. It's a blueprint.
So let's define that first M, the mission. It has to be crystal clear.
Unambiguous.
Mm.
Graduating 95% or better of students at that rigorous college and career readiness standard?
95%. I mean, that's an astronomically high bar.
It is. It's way beyond what most systems are even dreaming of right now.
So if that's the mission,
Yeah.
what does that force us to believe about the kids themselves?
That is the core of everything.
Mm.
Dr. Howard's assertion is that a very large percentage of our children can get smart. He's talking 90% plus.
So the capability is there.
The capability is absolutely there. And once you accept that as a fact, the whole story changes.
It does, because if the kids are capable, but the system, year after year, generation after generation, fails to get them to that 95%, then the failure isn't a practical one. It's not about logistics anymore.
Exactly right. It stops being a challenge of efficiency, and it becomes a failure of ethics.
Wow.
When the students can do it, but the system doesn't let them, Dr. Howard calls that immoral malpractice.
Immoral malpractice. That's a heavy term.
It is. And the failure isn't on individual teachers working their hearts out. It's organizational. It's because the systems themselves, quote, tolerate disbelief in children's capabilities.
So the mission then has to be the driving force for every single person in that organization.
Every single one, from the superintendent right down to the janitorial staff.
Your job has to connect to that 95% goal.
If what you're doing every day isn't demonstrably helping kids get smart, then you have to ask, why are you there?
That moral clarity, it forces the next step, doesn't it? It leads directly to mindset.
It has to. It's that old Vermont story. You know, a tourist asks for directions and the guy at the gas station says, well, you can't get there from here.
Right. You can't achieve a 95% mission with a 50% mindset.
Exactly. The old belief system won't get you to the new destination.
So let's contrast them. What's the old model?
The one that's dominated for, over 100 years. We call it Mindset 1. The innate ability paradigm.
Innate ability. So the idea is that intelligence is something you're born with.
It's fixed. It's unequal. The core belief is just. Some got it, some don't.
And if you believe that, then the job of the school becomes Sorting.
Sorting. That's the function. To figure out who is very smart, or VS, who is somewhat smart, SS, and who, to be blunt, is categorized as knows difficulties.
Katie.
And you can just imagine the impact of that label on a child.
Oh, it's devastating. Because it's logical. If a student is struggling and the world is telling them, well, you're just not a math person.
They believe it. They internalize it. It becomes proof of their fixed limits. If I'm too stupid to learn this, why should I keep trying? That disengagement is the engine of the system's failure.
Okay, so that's the problem. What is the alternative? What's the new mindset?
It's a complete 180. It's mindset 2. The efficacy, get smart mindset.
Get smart.
The core belief here is that capabilities are not fixed. They are built, they're developed over a lifetime. And what drives that development is effective effort.
So effort is the key.
Effective effort. That's the important word. Because that effort literally changes the physical structure of the brain. It builds new neural networks.
And there's a cycle to it, right?
There is. It's this beautiful upward spiral. It all starts with a little bit of confidence.
Okay.
That confidence makes a student willing to try to put in that effective effort. That effort leads to actual learning, real development, which then reinforces the confidence. The student feels that success and thinks, wow, I'm good at this.
Which makes them try even harder next time.
And the whole thing just accelerates. It's a virtuous cycle.
So let's define effective effort, because it's not just about telling a kid to try harder.
No, it's very specific. It has 3 parts. First is tenacious engagement.
Sticking with it.
Sticking with it,
Yeah.
especially when it gets hard. Second, a relentless focus on feedback.
So mistakes aren't failures, they're data.
They're just data.
Yeah.
Information about your performance, not a judgment on you.
Yeah.
And third, you use that data for strategy formulation.
If it didn't work, try something else.
Change your approach. Exactly.
And this isn't some fantasy. We see this happening.
We see it all the time.
Yeah.
Think about the teacher in room 206. You know, the one who gets a class of 4th graders from a really tough neighborhood. Kids, the system is already written off. And by the end of the year, they're all hitting proficiency standards. She's not a magician. She is an expert at building and mobilizing that effective effort cycle. The knowledge is already in our schools.
But what about the psychology of it? If you're tenacious but keep failing, it just feels like you're being stupid for longer. That breaks the cycle.
That is the pivot point. You're right. We have to immunize them against failure. We have to teach kids and adults, too, to respond adaptively to difficulty.
So what does that look like?
You teach them that failure and difficulty are just feedback. That's it. It's information about what to do next. We have a name for this mechanism.
What is it?
It's FAAF. Failure and difficulty are feedback.
Hey.
You teach a child FADF, you teach a teacher FADF, and they become unstoppable. They see difficulty as the path, not the obstacle.
Okay, so we have the mission, 95% CCR. We have the mindset, get smart. That brings us to the method. How do you actually organize the adults to do this?
Right, because the old ways of reform have clearly failed.
We've seen 2 main types.
2 dominant failure modes. First is top-down reform. Some expert in an office generates a solution and dictates it to the teachers.
It's disrespectful.
Totally disrespectful. And it just leads to that flavor of the month cynicism.
And the second way?
The inductive best practices model, which is just, compiling all this research into a giant binder that's totally disconnected from what a teacher is facing on a Tuesday morning. It's unwieldy.
So what's the successful approach?
It's the mobilization of professional expertise.
Meaning you trust the people in the building.
You have bedrock confidence in them. The leadership has to believe. The knowledge to get this done is right in this room. The job isn't to provide the answers. It's to empower the professionals to find them.
And to do that, you need some specific organizational structures in place.
3 key things. First, administrative proficiency. The school leaders, the principal, they have to be skilled at mobilizing the intelligence of the adults around them.
Getting everyone focused on the mission.
Focused and working together. Second, you need the actual mechanism. That's the self-directed improvement system, or SDIS.
The SDIS.
It's that continuous improvement loop. You have your clear standards, you do a baseline assessment to get data, you use that data to make feedback, you formulate a strategy, and you execute it. And you assess again.
And you just keep turning that crank.
Relentlessly. It's how students get better, and it's how the adults get better at their own practice.
Okay, so if the SDIS is the process, the loop, who is doing the work?
That's the third piece, the professional learning communities, or PLCs.
The PLCs. So these are the teams of teachers.
These are the working groups.
Yeah.
And they have to be truly empowered. They use the SDIS loop to look at their own data from their own kids.
And make their own decisions.
To eliminate practices that aren't working, even if they're sacred cows, and implement strategies that do. They own the transformation because they are the experts in the room.
So let's just pull this all together for a moment.
Good idea.
Dr. Howard's argument, at its core, is that reform has failed because we've been tinkering with systems that are built on a broken, fixed mindset.
Exactly. The stakes are now existential for our kids, so tinkering isn't enough. We need a full structural and cultural transformation.
And anything less, any system that keeps tolerating that disbelief in what students can do,
is by definition immoral malpractice.
but there is a path forward.
A clear, operational, and respectful path. The framework of mission, mindset, and method.
This whole thing is framed as the most important professional challenge of your life. So for any leaders listening, if they're serious about this, what are the non-negotiables? What has to be in place?
The sources are really clear on this. 3 critical things. First, an unambiguous commitment from the very top, the superintendent.
And not just for a year.
No. We're talking a public, ironclad, 7 to 10-year commitment to that 95% CCR mission. And that means you remove any obstacle, old policies, labor agreements, anything that gets in the way.
Okay, that's number 1. What's 2?
You have to build a killer data stream. The SDIS needs feedback to function, so you must have the systems to give those PLCs timely, accurate data on their students.
So they can adjust in real time.
Instantly. And third, and this might be the hardest one, you have to grant real operational latitude.
You have to let go.
You have to give those PLCs the actual authority to examine everything. Nothing is sacred. And to sweep away what doesn't work. The people with the problem have to have the power to implement the solution.
It all comes back to mobilizing the expertise that's already in the room. It's not about finding a magic bullet.
It's about having the courage to meet a moral objective.
So maybe the question for you to think about is this. What's one outdated policy, one sacred cow, that you could challenge next week to show you're serious about a 95% mission? If you enjoyed this episode, consider joining our community. Visit efficacy.org for additional resources.